Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about healthcare dashboards. You know the ones, often cluttered, confusing, but what if we could turn them into tools of powerful, actionable clarity? We're going to break down how to build a dashboard that doesn't just show data, but actually helps you make better decisions and ultimately improve patient care.
Okay, let's just dive right in with one number. It's pretty startling. A study of hospitals in Indonesia found that a whopping 60% of their dashboards didn't even have a clear purpose. Just think about that for a second. More than half were basically just digital noise, clutter on a screen.
So where does it all go wrong? Well, this isn't just a case of bad design, you know? It's about huge missed opportunities. A good dashboard, it should be like a co-pilot for a doctor or a nurse, giving them clear signals to guide them. But instead, what's happening? For most of them, it's just one more screen adding to the chaos, adding to that information overload. All right, so in our first section, we're going to tackle this head-on, the dashboard dilemma. We're going to look at why most of these things, even when they're packed with data, just fail to deliver.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, it's not magic. It really comes down to a few core rules. In this section, we'll cover the 5 key principles for getting it right.
And here they are. Think of these 5 steps as your blueprint for success. I'm talking about defining your purpose, knowing your audience, focusing on the right metrics, making it actionable, and designing it so you can scan it in seconds. If you get these right, you're not building a data dump, you're building a decision-making powerhouse.
Let's zoom in on number 3 there, focus on key metrics. You know, there's this huge temptation to just throw everything on the screen, right? More data is better? Well, no. Turns out our brains have a hard limit. We can really only keep track of about 7 to 10 things at once before it all just turns into a blur. It's called cognitive overload.
So this is where you have to be ruthless. You've got to apply the Pareto principle, that classic 80-20 rule. It's not about more data, it's about the right data. Your job is to find that vital 20% of metrics that are going to drive 80% of the impact. Those are the numbers that need to be front and center.
Okay, so we've got the principles, but what about the actual building blocks? Let's talk about the anatomy of an actionable dashboard.
First up, you've got your KPIs, your key performance indicators. These are your big headline numbers. They're the metrics that tell you, at a single glance, if you're winning or losing on your most important goals. Things like patient safety or how efficiently the hospital is running. They're all about tracking progress.
And this is where that whole co-pilot idea really comes to life. We're talking about risk indicators and alerts. See, KPIs track your progress toward a goal. These are different. These are your early warning system. They're all about prevention. They're the flashing red light that signals a problem before it becomes a crisis. You know, a sudden spike in infections, a shortage of beds, so your team can jump in and do something about it.
Okay, so you look at your dashboard and you see this. Patient satisfaction 8.2. So what does that mean? Is that good? Is it bad? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? A single number is just a snapshot in time. It doesn't really tell you the story.
But what happens when we add context? This is where trend analysis completely changes the game. By putting that same number on a chart over time, suddenly you see the whole story. You can see the patterns. You can see if you're making progress. You know exactly which way you're heading. Context, you see, is absolutely everything.
All right, let's pull back the curtain and look at what's going on behind the scenes. We're heading into the data engine room because every great dashboard is powered by a really solid data architecture. This is the stuff that makes it all work.
One of the most important ideas here is having a central place for your data. See, you don't want to be pulling information directly from your live hospital systems all the time. That can really slow things down. So the smart move is to have a dedicated spot for it. That could be a really organized data warehouse, which is great for structured, clean data, or it could be a more flexible data lake, which can handle pretty much any kind of raw data you throw at it.
And this table here kind of shows you how it all fits together. You've got your data sources, the patient records and so on. That data flows into the warehouse or lake. Then the analytics engine does its magic, crunching the numbers. And finally, it all shows up on the presentation layer. That's the dashboard you actually see. Getting this pipeline right is, well, it's everything. Because if the data underneath is garbage, then the beautiful dashboard on top is totally useless.
Okay, last but definitely not least, let's talk about the visual language. This is about choosing the right chart for the right question. And trust me, this isn't just about making things look pretty. It's about communicating information as quickly and clearly as possible. So let's say you're asking a super common question. How are we doing over time? Are things getting better? Are they getting worse? Maybe you want to track something like monthly readmission rates.
Well, for that, a line chart or a bar chart is your absolute best friend. Seriously, it's the easiest way for anyone, and I mean anyone, to look at it and instantly see the trend, spot a pattern, or notice if something weird just happened.
But what about a different kind of question? What if you need to show how the pieces make up the whole? You know, like breaking down where all your revenue is coming from.
For that job, something like a donut chart is perfect. It gives you that instant sense of proportion. You can see right away what the biggest slice of the pie is. It just works.
So when you boil it all down, building a great dashboard is about one thing: moving from data chaos to actionable clarity. The goal isn't just to show some numbers, it's to give people the power to make smarter, faster decisions that actually improve people's health. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you see a dashboard, ask yourself a simple question. Not what data is this showing me, but what action does this inspire me to take?